Hey everyone, you got the Hobby Drifter here again with another video for you. Like most everyone else, I've been stuck inside most of this year, and I have been building Gundam models for the last few months. First, I built all of the 1995 Gundam Wing 1/144th kits, and once those were done, I set out to build a whole bunch of Wing Zero customs. In fact, with the exception of a few repaints and the more stylized versions, I wound up with pretty much all of them. And I am going to talk about them right now. Quick note, perfect grade aside, which I'll talk about later, I built these more or less in the order of release. This was the first version to come out way back in 1997. It's the high-grade 1/144th version, and after putting together 13 regular Gundam Wing kits, this was pretty familiar. It's pretty basic, but it's a small step up from the kits that were released for the regular series. This one gives you more option parts. There are a few alternate hands. There's better leg articulation. And it also includes this entire alternate torso for recreating the scene at the end of the OVA with the holding the dual Buster rifle thing. And it still requires a lot of stickers and or paint to get looking right. Thing retailed for about 1,200 yen, which is twice what the regular basic kits cost. And this one took me about 2 hours to put together from start to finish. And you can take a look here. There's still stickers on the shoulders, arms and stuff. There's a little, I did paint the sword on here. There's a ton of line work, and it's just a nice kit. It looks really pretty. You gotta kind of use the wings for holding poses, and it does have the bane of my Gundam building existence, the stupid chin sticker that's like wrapped around the little Egyptian style goatee thing. These things never stay on for very long, and it's just I dislike it. It's the thing I most dislike about Gundam kits is that goofy little chin sticker. But for 1,200 yen, just over $10, this is really nice, and especially back in 1997, this looked great. And let's take a quick look at the box here. It's got this really nice artwork. Shows what the thing will look like on display if you are really good at painting these things, which I am not. This is what you'd see if you went to most stores that sell Gundam products. This would be what's facing you on the shelf. Showing off some of the stuff that's coming soon. It's a really nice bit of artwork. I very rarely keep the boxes for plastic models just because they take up so much space, and this will be getting junked in the very near future. But it is a nice kit, and it's very nostalgic. I built one of these back in high school or college. I think it was high school, so it was cool to build this again as an adult. You're living in Tokyo. All right. So next we got the 1/100th scale high grade kit, and by and large this feels like an upscaled version of the 1/144th one. The assembly process feels very familiar. The wings have a few more parts to them, as does the double Buster rifle. For some reason, the translucent laser blades here are like a pink color instead of the green that's all of the other ones are, and which would be accurate to the movie. And that's kind of annoying. I don't know if there's a translucent green Gundam marker, but I tend to pose these with the rifles rather than with the swords, so I guess it doesn't really matter that much to me. If I had to guess, I'd say that it's probably because the pink is left over from the regular RX-78 Gundam, which had the pink things. But it's really weird because this is a really nice kit. It just doesn't have the correct colored swords. This one retailed for about 2,000 yen, so just under $20. And it took me about 2.5 hours from start to finish. This is like the 1/144th. This was the second time that I've built this particular kit. I built it also back in college, and you can see it looks very nice. It's an excellent display piece. It's got the good posability. The wings are now several different pieces. It includes some option parts to put into the wings to get the full wingspan thing. It doesn't have that awful chin sticker, which is great, but it does have these stickers here that you kind of have to wrap around the shoulder, which is bad. It has the cool, it's not a, technically it is a sticker, but it's not like the wraparound sticker. It's an actual plastic sticker here for the chest piece. Ton of great detail on here. Wings are really nice. As far as like a cheap but nice to display Gundam, this one is one of the best. You can still find these in stores now for around the retail price of about 2,000 yen. And yeah, 2.5-3 hours from start to finish. More, of course, if you're gonna paint the whole thing or whatever. But this is a nice figure. The rifle is functional. It splits apart, folds in on itself. And let me show you the box here. It's very similar to the aesthetic of the other ones in this line, the 1/100th high grade. They're with the red backgrounds and such. Yeah, this actually does look pretty close to the finished product. Get that cute cocoon mode that everything goes on about. Here's again what you'd see if you were in a store, just looking at a large selection of Gundam products, and then here's what else is coming out. Gundam Nataku. Yeah, it's weird. Like I always thought, this looks very, it's bright, it's vibrant, it's very red, versus the black of the 1/144th scale. When I definitely prefer this to the other one, but I'm into black. I think it just looks cool for figures and packaging and stuff like that. Alright, so I know I said I wasn't going to do a lot of the hyper stylized ones, but when I was out picking up a few of the other kits, I found this thing, and it was 400 yen. It was only 400 yen, so I grabbed it, and it's adorable. I feel like if there'd been a runner of gray parts for the rifle and the wing mounts, it'd be even better. I'll probably paint them up eventually, because since they're just flat colors with no real important details, it shouldn't be too tough. This was released in the year 2000 and came in a surprisingly cool box. It's got like the nice CGI artwork on there. I had intended for this to be like the only SD Gundam that I bought, and I'm kind of going out of order here, but remember what I said about the color separation? If there being just a few more colors on this, it would be better. Well, take a look at this one. This one came out in 2015. It's the Wing Gundam Zero Endless Waltz SD Gundam EX standard. And as you can see, there's a little bit better color separation there. And the wing mounts and the gun are now blue instead of white, which makes them look a little bit more like what I wanted them to. It's a little bit thinner, and the other one not quite as squat. The wings, of course, are one of the biggest differences. They're much thinner and much larger. And I figured this would be it for my Gundam SW buying. It comes in a very, very basic box, 500 yen this time. Just your basic gray. But you can definitely get more poses out of this one, which is something I didn't know that I wanted. I thought, okay, this is the height of SD Gundam Wing Zero technology, but, you know, nope. Bandai went and outdid it once again with this beauty. Everything that I asked for. The different colored gun, the different colored gun mounts. Very few stickers at all. None of them frustrating. Like the stickers are just, you know, here, just where they need to be. This was the Wing Gundam Zero Endless Waltz SD Gundam Cross Silhouette series. And it comes in this beautiful box with this nice, like, chibi retro artwork. Again, only 800 yen, so, you know, $750-ish US dollars. And this whole series, the deal with these is you can buy, like, option parts for them. That'll make them display even better. This gets you, like, all the functionality of any of the larger kits, but in a cute Gundam form. And there's a gimmick on here where you can like pop off the helmet and swap the eyes around to give them like the cartoon eyes. Yeah, so if you flip that around, you got the cartoon eyes there, and very cute. Absolutely wonderful kit for $8. Looks great on a desk, work, or in your office or whatever. Cute enough to be a nice conversation starter, but not so kiddie that you're like, you know, why do you have this thing? Anyway, I like it. I'm a fan. I didn't expect to spend, you know, grand total of like $20 on chibi Gundams, but there we go. Middle of the review. There we are. Alright, no getting around it. Next is Perfect Grade. Full disclosure, I didn't build this recently. I built this back in 2006. When I first came to Japan, a friend here had this waiting for me. Before I built it, I had never assembled a kit more complicated than the HG one I showed you earlier. I was unprepared for this. It is extremely fiddly. It doesn't want to hold any pose, and parts pop off it if you look at it the wrong way. I picked this up to put it on this stand here for the video, and the goddamn wing fell off. Say what you want about, you know, the other kits, but these wings don't just pop off. There's, as far as I know, there's no official stand for it, which further limits your posing and display options. The wings are extremely heavy, which again works against most attempts at getting it to stand, let alone hold any kind of dynamic pose. And these hands also present a whole bunch of unique challenges. Each finger is articulated at each joint, which makes holding the beam sabers here very difficult, and holding the heavy beam rifles nearly impossible. And even if you can manage it, it doesn't look right. There's too much articulation. I remember seeing pictures of this thing in magazines and online back when I was just a young teenage nerd living in Chicago. Hell, I remember seeing it for sale in its huge gray box with like that kind of like washed out character artwork at Mitsuya, and thinking, oh man, imagine being able to afford that, build it and display it. And I almost did a few times. I'd been working, you know, part-time jobs since I was 15. So I had income and, you know, zero expenses, you know, living with my parents. But that's the thing about having a bit of money at a young age. At least in my case, I was able to find better things to do than buy a $200 model kit, and I'm glad I didn't, because if I had, I'd have been supremely disappointed. Look, I get it. This was one of the first attempts at a perfect grade kit. It was extremely ambitious for its time, and I've been told that the ideas that get used for perfect grade models are later implemented in smaller kits, like master grade and now real grade. I'm going to be honest, this kit is easily my least favorite of all of the ones that I've built. That said, because of how and when I got it, I'll probably own it for the rest of my life. And even now, I'm still thinking about buying another one and building it again. Now that I've been on this kick for a little while, it retailed for 15,000 yen back when it was released in the year 2000, and can still be found in some stores even 20 years later. I saw one for, I think it was 12,000 at Yodobashi just a few weeks ago. There's also a pearl coating version, which costs significantly more, and I've again been told by a few people, I've gotten conflicting stories on this, but they said that there were a few fixes made to that kit. But I've also seen in some videos that it hasn't aged well. And let's see if this thing falls apart when I try to show it off. Like, it's too ambitious. Like the joints are fiddly. These fingers, each one of these fingers has its own thing. Like the thumbs like to pop off. These shoulder pieces don't stay together like for anything. There's this unsightly gap here on the head. The legs just see, it just popped right off. Every piece of this is just too heavy for what it is, and I mean the almost 15 years now of age have not done much for it. I don't recommend this. It's supposedly the perfect Gundam, and it was, like I say, incredibly ambitious, but didn't really do anything terribly well. So we thank it for its service, for what ideas were later used in much better kits. So, hey, remember when I said that some of the ideas created for perfect grade wound up making their way into other kits? Smaller kits? Well, here's the master grade Wing Zero Custom. All the bad things I had to say about the perfect grade? And I worked out all the bugs for this masterpiece. Everything holds together nicely, including the wings. Posing it is much easier. I don't think I've ever had a piece pop off of it. Just everything just feels so well done. Posing it is so much easier, and not only is it compatible with stands, a stand is included in the box. Only nitpick I have is that holding the rifles here is sort of a pain, since they're a little bit heavy and just the hands don't grip super well. It can be done, but it's a little bit fiddly. The wings take some work to get into whichever pose you want, but once you've got them, they do hold the poses pretty well. They're also not so freaking heavy that the figure can't possibly stand on its own. This guy here took me about 6 or 7 hours from start to finish, and only cost 3,500 yen. Which, like, in today's nerd economy, is a spectacular bargain. I mean, I've bought 6-inch action figures that cost more than twice as much as those, just as like the retail price. And those didn't give me 6 or 7 hours of enjoyment. Sorry, Mafex, RoboCop, and Figure Art Spider-Man. Love you. But you can't give me what Master Grade Wing Zero Custom did. And by the way, there's no way to get a decent shot of it. But this thing also includes two tiny Hero Yui figures, one sitting in the cockpit and the other standing. And unlike the hero figures that came with the other one, these are to scale, which means, again, tiny. Not even going to consider painting them. So yeah, this one, it comes with the beautiful green beam sabers, and it's like when I was putting this thing together, I imagined it would be very fragile and it would fall apart easily, but I mean it holds together great. It holds the poses. The only issue I got is that the hands don't hold the guns terribly well. I mean, it includes this nice stand. It's just a beautiful, beautiful piece. Can't say enough good things about it. And at a price of only around 30 something US, just fantastic. If I had to recommend one of these to someone, it would absolutely be this one. Just a stunning, beautiful piece. I'm glad I saved that for like one of the last ones that I built. I had almost built this years and years ago when it was newish, but I kept putting it off, and I'm glad I did because as an adult my skills were a little bit better and I could do it justice. It comes in this really nice box. This beautiful blue box with this artwork. You can see that this is what I used for inspiration for the pose that I've put mine in. Using the thing as a cape, kind of. Here's what you'd see on the shelf, and this nice painted artwork. Front view, rear view. It does have the skeleton, the underskeleton. You can get all of these different poses out of the wings. Just an excellent buy. I made a mistake. I said that it was painted artwork, but it was CG work. And here's the last one, my most recent build. My first ever real grade Gundam. Man, I cannot say enough great things about the finished product. The assembly process had a few frustrating moments, mostly centered around the pre-built sections of the endoskeleton, but it's nothing that can't be figured out. I mean, even if you can't read any of the Japanese in the instructions, the pictures are decent enough to get you where you want to go. Everything good I said about the master kit, I can say again about this one. Except for the stand. You gotta buy your own stand this time. But, I mean, honestly, there were even a few improvements over the master grade version. Everything locks firmly into place in new and unique ways. There's a bunch of alternate hands to choose from, including sets specific to holding the rifles or the beam sabers. And while the earlier kits had a lot of stuff where it was basically, plug the left side into the right side, this takes a different approach, having pieces kind of overlap in creative ways so as not to have so many obvious seams. And the plastic connecting pieces to the runners is super, super thin, like hair thin. So there aren't many noticeable plastic burrs on the finished model. And it's not all one uniform color of white either. There's different shades of white, and I don't know how I felt about that at first, but after a little while admiring the finished product, I really like it. And even in here, it's a tiny little Hero Yui. This came out in 2017 and had an MSRP of 2,700 yen, but some places would sell it cheaper. I've seen it as low as 2,100 yen, about 20 bucks in stores and online. This took me about 5 or 6 hours to get together, and there's very, very little negative I can say about this beauty. I'm glad that I saved it for last, and is it better than the master grade version? It depends. It's tiny. It's the same 1/44th scale as those little $5 kits I started with, back in the 90s. That's really all I can say as far as anything close to negative. But I mean, if you're like me and you worry about space, then it's not much of a negative at all, being tiny. I had planned for this to be the last Gunpla that I built for a while, but it has me wanting to snatch up a few more. 5 or 6 hours of fun for 20 bucks is certainly a better value for money than I get from Japanese craft beer. Yeah, here's the box for the beautiful, beautiful real grade Gundam, as you can see here, 2170. Shows off, the skeleton, all of the poses you can get. That's what you'd see at the store. You get a ton of poses out of this thing. You can get kneeling down. You could not get any of these out of the so-called perfect grade, but it stands an extra 500 yen if you want to buy one of these. And there it is, the Wing Gundam Zero Endless Waltz, Colonies Liberation Organization Mobile Suit XXXG 00WO. And real grade. Real grade is a new brand which, as its name indicates, aimed to be the real thing. Fine details are reproduced along with abundant colored parts. The movable range, which is as wide as possible, was mounted on the assembled inner frame, which is simply cut out. We want to tell all generations who know Gundam of the pleasure and excitement of making a mobile suit. Please be sure to enjoy the numerous gimmicks incorporated in this palm-sized 1/144th scale model. Perfect. I really like seeing the same size classes in wildly different grades next to each other. Here are the two 1/144th scales. Real grade on the left, high grade on the right. Real grade is twice the price, but probably 10 times more complex and much more visually impressive. And I suspect that the real grade wings alone have more individual pieces than the entire high grade kit does. Just to give you some idea, here's the sword for the high grade, and here's the sword for the real grade. And here's the 1/100th scale kits. The 1/100th high grade looks more bulky than its master grade counterpart. The master grade one certainly does a better job pulling off that thin bird-like appearance, but the high grade is still very visually appealing. Alright, let me just show off a couple of the other items in my Wing Zero collection. This is a bottle cap that was given away with Pepsi products, years and years ago, and just a nice representation of the Wing Zero custom. Not a real bottle cap, by the way. It's it doesn't have the grooves, but you'd buy a bottle of Pepsi and this would come in a little plastic pouch attached to it. From a happier time when stuff like this was pretty regular. Next, we have a candy toy, which is stuff that is sold in convenience stores and grocery stores, and it includes like a tiny little piece of ramune candy, so that it can be sold as candy, not a toy. These are popular with office people who just want to have something cute on their desk, and with me who just buys anything with robot wings. Then there's this keychain. This is one of the things I got shortly after I came to Japan. It's got the battle damage. It's all molded in this really light, like rubbery plastic. If you use it as an actual keychain, it would fall apart right away. It's better to use it like a bag accessory or just to stick on a shelf as I do. There's also one of the only regrets in my collection is that I got this like 1/144th scale figure, and it's basically just like they made the 1/144th kit and just made it in like this rubbery, heavy plastic, and there's really nothing at all good about this. It's gray instead of white, it's puffy, it's just yuck. So, why? why do I keep buying all of these kits of the same character? There's got to be, some reason, right? What is my attraction to this particular Gundam? I just think it looks neat. That's all. That's the entirety of it. I rewatched all of Gundam Wing and Endless Waltz while I was putting these things together, and I just think they look neat. Red, blue, white robots with angel wings, lightsabers, and BFG. But it's mostly the angel wings. All right. That's it for now. Thanks for spending some time with me. I've been the Hobby Drifter. Take care and happy hobbying.